Let's take this baby on up. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Well, many of you have asked to see the new FIMI X8 SE 2022 edition because you want to know what's different about it compared to the 2020 edition. Well, in front of me, I have the 2022 edition. Can you tell which one is the 2022 edition and which one is the 2020 edition? I think not. Let me help you. Thanks to technology, I have this super high-tech device here, and I am just going to attach this high-tech device to each drone, and you will then know which one is which. So let's go like this. There we go, and with a bit of magic, abracadabra, ta-da! You can now tell the difference between these two drones. Yep, they are identical. And when I say identical, I mean pretty much identical in every way. The drones themselves weigh the same. They have the same sensors on the bottom, like there's no difference from the past version. So if you go watch my video review of the 2020 edition, it's going to show you everything that the 2022 edition can do. Even the remotes are the same physically. Yep, there's no difference. I have to put stickers all over them so I don't mix them up when I'm flying. And even the batteries are identical. So if you have the 2020 version and you buy the 2022 version, you can use your 2020 battery in the 2022. They're identical. Even the app is identical. Yes, it uses the FIMI 2020 app. You would think there would be an app called FIMI 2022, but nope. It uses the FIMI 2020 app and it will recognize that you have the 2022 version. And then it will give you nothing different. It will be almost identical. There's a few different things in the app on the 2022, but more or less for settings and how things are on the main screen, very minor. Like my brain could not tell the difference between the two. Let me go through the differences between the two and let me put my little stickers on so it gives you a better idea what the heck I'm talking about, because I even get mixed up with these. They're so similar. All right, hopefully you can see the years on there. So on the old one, we had a level 5 wind resistance on the old one. This one is a level 8, so it says you can fly the newer one in higher winds. The older one only flew up to a max height of 500 meters. That was because of the level 5 wind resistant. Because this one has a better wind resistance, it can go up to 800 meters. Your video transmission back to your cell phone in the controller, this one has a lower latency than this one. So the old one, you probably wouldn't tell the difference. The old one, if you were looking at how fast the video signal came back, it would be a little slower than on the new one. Here's the option a lot of people like with the new one. The old one said that you could fly it in a light rain, like a mist of a rain and maybe a little bit of snowflakes coming down. The new one says you can fly this in moderate rain or moderate snow coming down. So yeah, you can take this out in the rain. Now, of course, when a new drone comes on the market, the camera gets updated, and that's what's happened with the 2022 edition. So there's a larger sensor in this one, very small amount larger, not massively larger. The aperture is better. More light goes into the front of the lens. It's got a better lens than the older version. And they changed the ISO rate so that you can do low light filming at night. So this one goes from 100 up to 6400, and this one only goes 100 to 3200. Another great feature for people in the USA, this one has the remote ID built into it. So on your app, there's a little switch. You can turn remote ID on or off. But everything else is pretty much the same. They have the same flight time, 35 minutes, because they're using the same battery. And even the motors, everything to me looks same props, same everything. I don't see any big difference. There's nothing physically different with these two drones. Now, of course, the FIMI has always been popular because of the price. There's no obstacle avoidance sensors on it. The sensors on the bottom, very limited, you know, just your basic stuff, but it seems to work well for everyone's needs. And there's a lot of autonomous flight modes in the app. And the price is around $450 US, $470 US, depends where you buy it from. Now, since these drones are both identical, it is useless for me to go through the app and show you all the features because I already showed them all in my 2020 review and it's no different. So let me show you quickly all the features really fast just by summarizing the 2020 review. Watch this. Here we go with autonomous flight modes. Now the first one we're going to take a look at is waypoints. So waypoints is very popular on a lot of drones, and the FIMI has a really good waypoint system with beeline, in-flight, and history. So we're going to do the beeline one really quick right here. What's really popular with this one is it has a point of interest. So you can point the nose of the drone in one direction, and for each waypoint you pick on the map, you can set exactly what height you want the drone to fly at and what you want the drone to do at each of those waypoints. Then you let it do its thing and it does it quite well. Under Droney you have two flight modes, rocket and invert. All you do is drag a box around yourself, set how high you want the drone to fly at what speed, and the drone will do everything for you and create a video. Smart Track is actually active track, and you have three options: trace, profile, and lock. I'll show them all to you right here. So all you have to do is draw a box around yourself, hit the go button, and the drone will follow you. If you walk towards the drone will fly backwards. If you turn your back to the drone and walk forward, the drone will follow you. If you want the drone to follow you from the side, you have to put it in profile mode, which is over on the left hand side, the middle one down, that's profile mode. Select that. Then you can walk sideways and the drone will follow you sideways. In addition, if you select lock, that means you no longer want to walk and you want to stand in one position or move around, I don't know, doing some little running in circles. The drone will look at you left to right. It also has the ability to circle you, orbit you. So this is a quick orbit around yourself. The tap to fly option is pretty simple. You just look at your map, tap at a point where you want the drone to fly to. The drone will fly to that destination, and as it's flying you have full control of the camera and the movement of the drone from left to right to take your video. The orbit and spiral options are for when you want to orbit a structure or somebody else. It's pretty simple. You just pick one of them and then fly your drone over to that person or structure, and then set your radius and everything else, and hit the options, the go button, and the drone will orbit the structure or person. Cinematic mode just means the drone will not make any abrupt stops. So if you try to put the brakes on forward or backwards, the drone will slowly come to a stop. Tripod mode is very popular because it causes your drone to fly very slow forward or in any direction, no matter what the case is, and that causes your video to look very smooth and cinematic. Course lock is used for cinematic filming. You just set the course you want the drone to fly and then you fly it in that direction, but you can spin the drone 360 as it's flying to get cinematic footage. Fixed wing mode allows your drone to sort of simulate an airplane. So when an airplane flies and turns to the left or right, it banks, and when it banks, the image banks, as you can see here. So that's what happens with your drone in fixed wing mode. Search and rescue mode, commonly known as SAR, is used to provide you the longitude and latitude coordinates on the map or even in the video when you're looking at a subject or an object. It also gives you a zoom function, and as I mentioned, if you look at the map or the image, you'll see the longitude, latitude on top of the person in your cell phone. The remote control has a 5-way switch on it that is very handy. If you push it up, you will get your map view, and if you push it up again, the map view will go away. If you push it to the left, you're going to get your battery view, and if you push it to the left, the battery goes away. Push it to the right and you are going to get your status of the drone. Everything's working well. Push it to the right, it goes away. Push it down and your camera will go down, and then push it down again and your camera will go back up to look forward. Push it in and you'll see every video and photo you've taken so far. Oh, and I should point out that it does have the precision landing feature, just like the Hubsan drones. I think the last one had it as well. When you fly, it looks at your landing pad. If your landing pad is round, when it comes back to land, it looks for the round landing pad and it will usually land right on it. Here, check this out. Let me just show you the return to home. So let's go this way. Let's see how accurate it is. Let me just see in the settings if I put the setting on it to find the landing pad. So let me go over here to settings. There we go. I've got precise landing on, so this should work. So here we go. All right, drone's up there, making it return home. Just press this little red switch here and it will automatically go up and come back. It's gonna go up to the height I set it at and then it will return to home. I keep watching this big bird over there flying in circles. Actually, he's coming after the drone. He's going that way. Look at him. So the drone's up here coming back to home. Come on down. Let's go see where it lands. Let's go see where it lands. Look at that. Landing pad, and there she goes. Oh, and then it jumps over into the snow. Didn't like the landing pad, did you? All right, so what are my thoughts about the 2022 edition? Well, you know, I'd have some awesome thoughts for you, but did you notice the title of my video? It mentions the quality control is not that good. So when I received this drone, it was not really that great. There's a problem with the gimbal, the camera. The camera on this drone is really good, but the gimbal, this little thing here that holds the camera in place, it is not very good. And well, let me show it to you here. Watch this. All right, check out this video of me. This is in 4K 30 frames per second underwater. Yes, it looks like I'm underwater because I think the gimbal on this drone is toast, or it's not really proper. I have done a gimbal calibration to try to fix it at home. I thought it would work better when it's flying, but no, it vibrates all over the place. It's not the cold. I thought it might be the cold, but it's not, because when I was at home, I still had the vibrations indoors in the warm air. So this is unfortunately it. So that means it's kind of useless to review this camera. Here, I'm adjusting it. How does it look with the video underwater? Great underwater drone, guys. So the problem is the gimbal. So when I received it, the gimbal is defective. It is just shaking and vibrating all over the place. It is supposed to counteract the props when it's in flight mode or any wind or any movements and keep the camera steady. But in my case, it's just vibrating like crazy. So let me bring it up to the mic and maybe you can hear it as it's going. See, if I touch something metal to it, you just hear it vibrating away. Yeah, so it's no good, and that's so your image is all like underwater looking. So when I first received this, the only way to take video that didn't look terrible and out of focus and like underwater was to take my two fingers and go plunk and hang on to the front of the camera. Yeah, that sounds ridiculous. So I wanted to test out how good this thing was in low light. So I put my two fingers on the gimbal and here it is. Check out the low light test. Yes, so as ridiculous as that sounds, this is me holding the gimbal so that the camera does not shake, and I'm filming at night. And I have to say, this new version of the FIMI 2022 actually takes good images at night in low light. So this is pretty much pitch black. It's not making the sky look black. It's kind of like bluish purplish, but it's actually usable. This is footage you could use. You can see the noise in the image, but it's not that bad. It's usable footage. You know, it's definitely not professional footage, but it's good enough for YouTube or any use you would want to have. Now, I did tell FIMI about it, but FIMI was no help because honestly, you contact them and you say, hey, there's vibrations going on in the gimbal. They have no clue. They say, can you make a video about it and send it to us? Well, that's kind of useless because I am a YouTube reviewer, so the video I'm going to make is this one. So FIMI, if you're watching, that's the problem with your drone. Your quality control is not the greatest. Now, there is a fix to it, but I will tell you after I show you the fix, it doesn't fix it 100% because there's something else wrong with the model I received. So let me show you the fix. So I've got my phone on record here. This is my interface. So what you do is you go to the settings menu and you go down to gimbal and then you go to advanced settings and you see where it says gimbal gain, it says 100%. That's how they all come out of the box, and they should work perfectly. What you have to do is find the sweet spot. The only place I could get it to work okay on mine is if I put it at 0 or 1%, and then you hit the little check mark, and there we go. The vibration stopped, and everything is good, and it works fine. The problem with that is that when you put the gain so low on the camera, then if you're flopping around in the wind or you're doing any sort of fast movements, it doesn't look as good, but you can get away with it. And here, I'll show you some video that I shot with it at 1% outside my house, so watch this. Here we have footage taken in the early morning, and I just want to show you setting the gain at 1% for my broken gimbal. Kind of fixed it because look at this, I'm flying very abruptly. I'm shooting the gimbal around, I'm shooting the drone up in the air, and I'm making these fast movements. But it looks great. Now, the takeaway from this is basically look at the image. This is early morning. A lot of fog, a lot of mist in the air because it is winter time here and we're getting a little bit of a warm spell. But the image looks quite good. There's not a lot of light coming in, but yet that sensor and the lens are doing a fantastic job of giving you a really quality image. Now, since it was very early morning, I thought I'd try out the tracking feature and have the drone follow me down the street just for, well, something to do to get some video footage since the camera is working, and basically this is it. It works perfectly fine. Now, the tracking feature, I have to point out, works 100% perfectly unless you walk behind something. As soon as you walk behind an object and it can no longer see you, well, the tracking ceases to function. So keep that in mind when using this feature. So the reason, even though I set the gain at 1%, it's still not 100% fixed, you're still going to get a little bit of jello flying around and stuff like that, is because the quality control at FIMI forgot to put a rubber grommet on one of the 4 legs. So there's 4 legs underneath the gimbal that hooks into the bottom, and you have 4 rubber grommets for vibration. I only have 3. One is missing. It was never put in place, so whatever quality control they have, yeah, it didn't exist with this drone. Now, since I have my app running and I'm recording the screen, let me just show you some of the differences quickly on here. So the first one, as I've already mentioned, if I go down here, there is a remote ID option. You can just turn it on or off, and you have remote ID. The next one I want to show you is on the bottom right. I have a sport mode, so if I touch that, I didn't have it on the last one. Turn on sport mode. We're in sport mode now, and then turn it off. I should be able to turn it off, switch to normal mode. The other option, this was there before, but now I find it works a little bit differently, is along the bottom. You can touch any of the settings and you can change settings. So there's my camera. These cameras max out at 4K 30, so you'll never be able to shoot higher than that. You can shoot JPEG RAW photos with them as well. One of the things here is your zoom. So it's zooming over at some other drones there. It's not going to look that good. Let me just hit this. Zoom, and you can zoom right in, so that's all going to be out of focus. Now my controller is beeping because I charged it when I first received it, but now it's saying it's low in power, so it's beeping and wants to have me charge it again. So let me just turn all this off. All right, so now the next question you probably have is, how good is the new version camera-wise compared to the old version? Well, I did a little bit of tests that way. Even though it's totally busted and everything else, I still was able to do a test. So what I did is, let me just show you exactly what I did. I took this drone and I plopped it down on the bed of my Jeep, and I took this one and plopped it down on the bed of my Jeep, and then I walked around with a landing pad just showing the different colors. I had them both in exactly the same filming mode, 4K, everything else. And yeah, to my eyes, the new 2022 version is like, I didn't think I would say this night and day, but it is night and day. It's a way better. The camera is really good on the 2022 compared to the old 2020 version. So you can see the image is sharper. You can see the colors are a little bit more vibrant and detailed. There's not as much noise in the image as in the old one, and I shot it on a very low light day, so it looks really, really decent on the 2022 compared to the old 2020. So I would say for that reason alone, is it worth upgrading? If you want a better camera, get the 2022 edition. Now with the FIMI drones, you can buy their insurance, and you can go check it out when you buy the drone and read everything and see what it covers, just in case you smash or crash it, because there's no obstacle avoidance, and then you get a replacement and everything else. See if it's worth it. I didn't really check it out, so I can't really guide you on that. Next thing a lot of you will want to see is what comes in the box. So check this out. The boxes are identical. I tell you, FIMI put utterly very little money into making the 2022 edition. They just basically took the 2020, updated a few things, didn't change the app, added a few minor things, you know, a better camera, obviously, longer flight range due to the communication system, but they didn't change the battery, didn't change much else, didn't change the boxes, even the backs and the fronts are the same. So let me show you what you get in the box. Check this out. This would be the box your drone comes in, and inside the box you'll find your drone, the controller, and all the accessories. Once again, FIMI spared no expense on a modern day gimbal card. Sensors are identical to the 2020 version, as well as the micro SD card slot and individual inputs. Once again, a total of 6 propellers are included, so that means you only have 2 spares. The only way to tell which version of FIMI you have is to look under the battery. And speaking of the battery, it's identical to the 2020 version. A power supply is included to charge your battery. Total takeoff weight of the drone is 768 grams. The included controller is physically the same as the previous version controller. A cable connector for every type of cell phone is included. Finally, you do receive a set of instructions to get yourself up in the air in no time. And finally, the last thing that I want to mention is a lot of people like this controller over other controllers, and I like this controller as well because it's very easy to use, and you can put an iPad mini in there if you're somebody who owns an iPad mini. So my final thoughts on this baby are, if FIMI improves their quality control and makes a drone that, you know, every drone you receive is 100% good, then it's pretty good. Are you taking a chance buying this? Well, let me say the following. I'm a drone reviewer. So if you look at every year on my channel, I review over 100 drones. And out of those 100 drones I review, I might get one every year that, yeah, I got a defective one that came to me. So that's 1 out of 100, so that's probably the same for yourselves. So in the end, is this one better than the 2020 edition? Yes, of course it's better. So if you don't have the 2020 edition and you only have a little bit of money to spend, you might want to consider getting the 2022 edition. All right, guys, links are below to where you can find this drone. It's all over the internet, so I'll put some links below. You can check it out and find the price that is right for you, and see if it's something you like. All right, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos on drones and anything in the RC hobby, make sure you subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.